Welcome to this new video on Gran Turismo 7, in which I'm going to show you some gameplay with the 4 new cars from update 1.71. Each time, I'll show you a bit of driving with them. I'll also show you their customizations and upgrades, so we can see if these are cars that really deserve to be in Gran Turismo 7, if they're really worth buying in the game, or if they're more secondary cars we don't really care about in the end. The first one I'm going to show you is the Hyundai Ioniq 6N. We might not spend too much time on this car because I've already shown you some gameplay with it on my YouTube channel in the video where I covered update 1.71. I wanted to quickly show it to you again because it's a pretty cool car. Yet it's an electric car, and for those who follow me, you know that I don't like electric cars, especially in games where they're usually terrible. But in Gran Turismo 7, they made a bit of an effort with this one. They made it a bit more fun to drive than a traditional electric car by reproducing in-game quite a few systems that actually exist. Actually, on this car, on the Hyundai for example, there's the fake sound of a combustion engine. You see, when you accelerate, it makes a little sound that kind of mimics a combustion engine. That's nice. It makes the car feel livelier than a typical electric one. They also added in the game its fake gearbox system, because Hyundai gave the real car a fake gearbox system. Actually, there isn't really a traditional gearbox, but there's an electronic system that, how can I put this, that actually simulates fake gear shifts. You have paddles on the steering wheel. You shift them, and in this manual mode, which is actually a fake manual mode, well, once the car's computer thinks you're high in the revs, it limits the car's acceleration until you shift to the next gear. So it's a bit like a manual, but actually it's a fake manual. So that's kind of nice. They still managed to reproduce it in the game. And then some other cool things about this car, well, it already has quite a few animations on its dashboard. You can see the little animations with the dashboard changing color as you accelerate. Depending on whether you're higher or lower in the revs, even though, once again, there's not really a combustion engine system or a manual gearbox on this car, it still tells you when to shift gears. So that's pretty cool. We have a small animated screen with a timer we're running in the middle of the car. Another cool feature is the recreated heads-up display above the steering wheel in this car. You have the little cursors that once again represent fictional RPMs for the fake manual gearbox. But they also display the gear, the fictional one you're engaged in, and the very real speed of the car. So here, about 130 kilometers per hour. So that was, there you go. It's actually pretty nice that they added this to the game. As for pure performance, it's a car that's not exceptional. It's not very upgradable. That's still the problem with electric cars in Gran Turismo 7. You can't do much with them. And it's still relatively heavy, around 1,600 kilos after weight reduction. And originally, it's a car that weighs 2.4 tons. So yeah, it's a car that's not very upgradable. And it's not a performance monster either. But honestly, for an electric car, it's pretty nice. And at 90,000 credits, it's pretty cool. This update also added a new car brand, because since version 1.71, for the very first time in Gran Turismo 7, you can buy a Caterham. You can actually buy the 7 Superlight R500 from 2008. It's sold at the new car dealership. I'll show you the price. I didn't see how much I bought it for. That way you'll know. Anyway, this car already has quite a few unique features right from the start. Even before being upgraded, it's already a very light car. It only weighs 516 kilograms. And it's still pretty powerful, 260 horsepower. That gives us a power-to-weight ratio of about 520 horsepower per ton, and that's extreme. In this case, this car is already high-performing in its original form. It made a big impact in the 2000s, especially when tested on Top Gear, because at the time, it managed to set a better lap time on the Top Gear show's track than the Bugatti Veyron, which was still a car on the opposite end of the spectrum, but it was much more expensive, and it was much more powerful. Let's take a look at some potential improvements we can make to this car. We can already swap it. We can put the engine from the Suzuki Jimny in it, which allows us to shed a bit more weight. So why not? However, the problem is that we lose a lot of power. It might not really be that interesting to swap it. It depends. For making a small ultralight car in lower performance categories, it could be a good idea. But if your goal is to maximize the performance index, I think it's better to keep the stock engine. So let's look at the other customizations available on this car. We've installed the wide body kit. Done. Just like that, it'll be ready for high-speed corners. Do we get some customization options? Yeah, we get a few customization options. What can we do? So we can remove the 7 logo in the front, add a small scoop on the sides. It shouldn't change much. and put the small suitcase at the back. Pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to change the grip. Apparently it does. Huh. The game considers that, well, that's weird. It lowers the performance index. I think the game assumes there's slightly more weight at the back of the car. So, no big surprise, it's a car that doesn't have a lot of upgrades. At least, there are engine upgrades. You can get it up to 500 horsepower, which is already huge. By the way, I think it's better not to engine swap it for power, because if I remember correctly, the Jimny's engine puts out something like 200 and a bit horsepower. So in the end, that's less than this car, before any upgrades. But yes, that's true. Upgrading it gives you 500 horsepower at about 516 kilos, since the weight stays the same. This car has no weight reduction upgrade because developers felt it was already very light, and making it lighter would be overkill. Well, listen, it's actually pretty nice to drive. You know, I actually expected it to be a dud and very difficult to drive, since all-wheel drives are often a bit extreme. These cars are built for the track, focused on acceleration and extremely light. However, this can make them harder to handle. And they are. Most of the time, they have this tendency to lose grip for no real reason, I think. And this one actually, on Gran Turismo 7, with these improvements, it's pretty cool to drive. Well, I have to say, in terms of setup, I added a bit more downforce at the rear, specifically to keep it from losing grip, so we don't lose control and spin out. Meh. But actually, it drives very smoothly. It's not that harsh. The only things that I think are going to be annoying to deal with in this car are going to be the collisions. Not sure if you noticed, but we were quickly pushed by an AI at the start of the challenge. The slightest contact between this car and a more normal car, we immediately go flying, actually, because we're super light. But hey, the braking is incredible. So the braking, it's extremely impressive. Probably because this car is very light. It still accelerates quickly, but I don't think we have a high top speed. I think going over 330 with this must be a bit complicated. That's because we don't even have a windshield, right? Just imagine, even at 200, the air you'd be getting in your face in there, even with the helmet. That must be pretty fun. So objectively, the car is pretty good. I think it's a car that has about 740 pp, something like that. There must be a way, by detuning the engine a bit, to make it a really good car at 700 pp. For all the smaller, slightly technical tracks. Scuba, what else do we have like that? Well, Goodwood too. Actually, Goodwood, for example. In my opinion, that's a track where this car can really perform well, because there aren't any huge straightaways. On the other hand, you can also feel that even with 500 horsepower, as soon as there's a long straight, we get left behind by the other cars. It's a good car for acceleration and cornering. Actually, it's pretty easy to drive in the end. Not that expensive. Pretty fun to drive. But in my opinion, it won't be playable in the really big categories. So maybe putting in a Jimny engine and reducing its weight even more could be a good idea. Well then, they added 2 Toyotas from the same year. 2 cars that apparently look quite similar. So we're going to check that out, by the way. Both are available at the same price with the same mileage. 1997 kilometers? That must be a coincidence. That can't be a bug. Not at all. So the 97 Chaser and the 97 Mark II, I think the Chaser is the sporty version, basically, while the Mark II is the tourer. It's more like the sedan version. Maybe a dad sedan. We're going to test both of them, even though apparently they're kind of the same cars anyway. It's true that even visually, the two look a lot alike. These aren't models we're very used to seeing in Europe either. It's true that these cars are usually reserved for the Japanese market. These are cars that have always been requested in today's games, actually, including in Forza and all that. These are cars that are starting to show up, and that's nice. So these cars are already swappable with the V8, if I'm not mistaken, which comes from Lexus. Well, it's the engine from the SC430. These cars are customizable. I'm using the plural since I assume this applies to the Chaser as well. The Tourer also supports the wide body kit. It should also let us access more customizations. I added a small bumper to see what options were available. And indeed, we have a bit of tuning, a bit of customization on these cars. More than in other games, if you see what I mean. Let's go take a look. If we have the same parts or not, with the wide body kit installed. What do we have? Yeah, it looks like it's the same thing, basically. The same thing, but wider. Okay. Anyway, for the Eiffel Tower, it's the same thing. Basically, with the little roof spoiler. We'll use the trunk spoiler instead, just to keep the rear planted even more. We're going to put on some small BBS rims, just to... And right away, well, it definitely gives it a bit of a Need for Speed Underground vibe, but without the swap. We can get it up to about 750 horsepower for 1,100 kilos. So that's already pretty good. I think the swap must be a bit more powerful. From what I remember, the Lexus V8 should put out around 800 or 900, maybe even 1,000. So a bit more, but I think it's a car that doesn't really need to be swapped anyway, because it's a car that doesn't have crazy aerodynamics, in my opinion, so it's a car that might not be that wild in terms of speed. You see, it already handles pretty well. We can... The braking isn't great either. Compared to the four-wheel drive one, which braked much harder, that's a significant change. I don't think the swap will be interesting, especially since we already have a cool engine. I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think we have the engine. We have the one JZ, if I'm not mistaken, basically the JZ engine, which is a bit less powerful, a bit less aggressive, but it's still pretty good, 750 horsepower. The car actually has a really good flow, It's true that these aren't necessarily cars, a little bit niche, let's put it that way. They're not really mainstream cars. Maybe not the kind of car most players will get hyped about, but the car has a good vibe. The fact that it's slightly customizable, with some nice little rims, lowered a bit with a few mods, mechanically, and overall the car is pretty cool to drive. Are there any little secret things inside? Anything a bit hidden? I don't think so. The screen is stuck on the Toyota logo. I don't think I hear the little bell. It seems to me that in cars from the 80s and 90s, sometimes with Toyota, they had little chimes inside when you went over 130 kilometers per hour to warn you. I don't remember if it was 130 or 110. It was meant to warn the driver he was over Japan's speed limit. RHD though, that's actually true. That might be a little annoying, but at the same time, these are cars that are almost only sold in Japan, so it's not surprising that they're right-hand drive. As for how it drives, you can sense its length. It's clearly a car well suited for drifting. It's clearly rear-wheel drive, and the engine feels very torquey. It's not very dynamic, it's not very sporty, but again, that's not a big deal, because the car has style. But on the other hand, it really picks up speed in a straight line, 5-speed gearbox, but no 6th gear. Yeah, the car isn't super stable. It's wobbling, even though I've set the downforce to maximum. And yet there's still a lot of suspension movement. The car actually has torque. Yeah, you see what I was telling you. The car's behavior is a bit unpredictable. So I think it's more of a car to have fun drifting with, to enjoy yourself, in multiplayer with your friends. Or maybe in intermediate performance categories, rather than in high performance categories where it struggles a bit. But it's cool, honestly, it's a very cool addition. It's the kind of car I'd want to play with, I want to drive it. Not that I'd necessarily have much to do with it, but I just think it's cool. I really like it, even if it's a small detail. The headlights and the brake lights, when you brake, don't light up instantly. You can see the bulbs gradually lighting up. I don't know why. I've been stuck on this for a while now. I think it's really cool. So this is the Tourer, and then we'll have the Chaser to test, which we're going to pick up. Same deal, $70,000 on the used market. Act quickly if interested in this car, as the used car shop updates inventory often. The cars you see may change. They might not necessarily be the same in the coming weeks. This one is also compatible with a swap. It's actually the same swap, the V8 engine from the SC430. This one is also compatible with the wide body kit, and I suppose it has pretty much the same customization options. We're going to check that out in just a moment. It's got a real flow. Visually, I have to say, I think the Chaser looks even nicer. But both are really cool. I think they made a good choice by adding that at this point in Gran Turismo 7. I don't think these are cars that deserve a lot of criticism, but let me know what you think in the comments. But they're cars perfect for Gran Turismo 7, a game by a Japanese studio. It's really cool. So yeah, it's kind of the same style. It's custom, yeah, really 90s inspired. Pretty cool what they did here too. All right, we've got this. Honestly, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, just a bit different. By the way, I forgot to check if we had maybe any grille customizations. Yeah, cool. Hold on, let's check the other cars we tested today. I didn't see if there were grills or anything to change. This is cool. We've got the old school headlight eyelids. That's really cool. So on the Caterham 2, there are some little customizations at the front. Okay, for the headlights, we can put them in tape-over mode. And on the Tourer, we also have the little headlight eyelids and some small modifications at the front. Like the little antenna there, for example. I think that's really cool. It's the same style, but not the exact same kit. And it's also different from what we have on the Chaser. I think it's awesome. The differences are small, just little details, but they're cool. In the end, there are enough little differences that I want to try each car. Since they have the same engine and are basically the same, performance is similar. We're just a bit higher in PP. We remember that we were at 740 with the Tourer, and now we're at 750 with the Chaser. The paint is gorgeous. This paint is random. I don't know which car it's from. It's a kind of silver, a bit shiny, but not too chrome-like. It's perfect for a car like this. The car has the same power then, around 750 horsepower and about the same weight. 1,146 kilos, if I'm not mistaken. So you can expect similar performance, and a pretty similar driving experience. By the way, even the rear lights light up gradually, just like on the Tourer, and I think that's really cool. And overall, it's true that they're basically the same cars. The interior is the same, the sound is the same. It's pretty much the same driving experience, even though for some reason the game seems to consider that the Chaser performs a little bit better. So it's really just a matter of aerodynamics. I think the shape of the body, those little details, make the game technically consider it just a bit better. But we're really talking about a difference of just 10 performance points. So it's not much. Overall, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Driving them feels the same. If you say I'm in the Chaser or the Tourer, there's no difference. It's true that in this case, some people complain that there are sometimes way too many versions of the same cars. While these aren't the same models, I get why some might think the developers were lazy. Still, the Chaser and the Tourer are different cars with distinct vibes. It's a bit weird to say, but the Chaser, even if it has the same performance, has a slightly sportier feel that the Tourer doesn't have. So overall, these additions are cool, but not the best cars in the game. They're not the fastest, the most well-known, or even the most popular, but I think these cars still have their place in the Gran Turismo 7 lineup. And I think the fact that they're customizable, a little bit tunable, with a few, let's say, a few small body kits, the wide body, some headlight eyelids, and different front grills. Well, there you go. Right away, you go from a kind of bland family car to a car that actually looks amazing. I think it's cool. Share your thoughts on these new cars in the comments. In any case, don't hesitate to leave a like, subscribe for the next videos, even on Twitch. I regularly do live streams. Come and use your Prime. And also support me for free on my Twitch channel. And yes, it sways a bit less than the Tourer though. And use the instant gaming links you'll find below the video to buy your games cheaper while giving a little support to my channel. I'll see you very soon for a new video. Bye!